Hi guys, welcome back to LMLM Crochet. In this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to make this crochet banana rattle, and I'll be using Be Crafty crochet hooks and other accessories. So to make the banana, you're going to need your yellow, obviously, and your brown. And then for the rosy cheeks, you need a nice pink or purple or whatever you fancy, and some black cotton for the eyes and the mouth. This is also going to be a rattle, so you'll need some kind of little pot and some beads or whatever you're choosing. Maybe a little bell would be nice to go inside. You're also going to need your tools, and here I have the Be Crafty crochet hook set, and this was actually gifted to me so that I could give an honest review, so I'm going to try it out in this video today. But they give you all the crochet hooks that you need, all different sizes, and they also give you this gauge for hooks and this whole pack full of things here. So I've got scissors, stitch markers, a tape measure, and yarn needles. And I haven't used plastic ones before, so I might try them out. Usually I would use this little yarn needle here and my snips that I got from Etsy as well, which I just bought myself. They were like very cheap. So you're going to begin with your brown yarn, and this is a DK weight, and normally it calls for a size 4 crochet hook, but I'm going to use a 3.5 today, because when you make amigurumi, it's very important that your hook is slightly smaller than the yarn you're using, and that is because you want the stitches to be nice and tight, so that when you put your toy stuffing in, you don't want it to poke through, to come out through the holes. You might have seen amigurumi like that before, and it's just not a beautiful finished product that you might want. Okay, so to begin with, we need to make the magic ring, as with all of my amigurumi projects. If you need a slowed down version, please do check out my beginner video. Otherwise, you're going to make a cross over your finger. You're going to lift the yarn from the right hand side onto the left and pull up this loop here, and your hook is going to go into that. You're going to pull that long tail which is attached to the working yarn, and you're going to yarn over and pull through the gap in between there. Take your finger out and hold the loop like so. Wrap the yarn around your hand as you would when you're crocheting, and then begin making 6 single crochet, which is American, or double crochet if you are used to UK terminology, and you're just going to do 6. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yep. 6. Okay, and then what you're going to do is you're going to pull this little tail that you have here, and what should happen is that these stitches pull round into a kind of semicircle, and then you're going to join it by beginning your next round into the first stitch. So in our case, in this particular pattern, we're going to go straight through and do another single crochet in that first stitch. And then all I'm going to ask you to do is count to 18, okay? So that counted as 1. Count to 18 stitches, and they're all going to be single crochet, and it's going to get a bit fiddly, but I will show you how to keep it the right way around. So we're going to count to 18 single crochet. So 1, that's 2 now, 3, 4, 5. It's already getting fiddly, but as you can see, I'm tensing quite a lot. I'm keeping a lot of pressure on. So here I'm holding this very tightly, and I'm keeping this very tight as well. So my tension is it's not a relaxing part of crochet, I'll say that. Keep pulling on this little tail here to keep the stitches tight as well. While you're doing that, keep this tense. It's all about tension when you're doing these tiny bits of crochet like this. So I've done 6, so I've got to do 7. Okay, I've gone ahead a bit, so feel free to pause if you're still not ready. I'm on my 16th stitch. 16, 17, and finally, do you see how I keep moving that tail out of my way? You can tuck it in if you want to. You won't be needing it again, just don't cut it too short is all I'd say, because you don't want the stitches to unfold. Okay, so that is the top of the banana done. So now what we need to do, and this comes as a bit of relief after all that tension, is we are going to single crochet, increase in the first stitch, and then single crochet in the next stitch. So let's do that first, sorry. So increase, so that's 2 stitches in, do that one again actually, in the next single crochet. Then in the next stitch you're just going to do 1 and then an increase again, and then a single crochet again, and then you're going to repeat that one more time. But hold fire on the last stitch, so single crochet increase, and then at this point we need to change colour. So have your yellow yarn ready, and get a bit of that out, ready to go. And what you're going to do is, on the final single crochet, you're going to go in as usual with your brown. You're even going to pull up a loop as usual with your brown. Hold it there, transfer this side over to these fingers. Pick up the yellow, again, the end into these 2 fingers here. So you've got a lot going on there. Wrap this around as though it's your new working yarn. And you're going to yarn over and complete that stitch in the yellow. You just pulled through those 2 loops in the yellow. Okay, so keep everything very tight still, and we're going to go on to the next round, wherein you're going to start straight away in the next stitch with an increase again. So keep hold of that yellow, keep everything very tight behind you. These 2 fingers here, everything's very tight. This hand here is very tight. Okay, once I've finished that stitch, I've let go of that behind me. I'm just going to do one more, so I'm satisfied that it's really secure. And that was an increase, so that's 2 in the same. And then I'm just going to put that down. And I'm going to cut off, but I'm going to try out these scissors from the kit here. Fancy so far, I like that. Oh, let's see how sharp they are. And I'm just going to cut off the brown yarn that I had been using before, and I'm going to leave a little bit of a tail, so about there, and snip. Okay, they worked. They look like glasses, but anyway, handy because they fold down and they become safe. And then I'm going to put my brown yarn away until the end, because I won't be needing that until we do the little bit at the bottom. Okay, so we need to continue with the yellow then for quite a while now. So we've just done an increase, so we now need to do 1 single crochet on its own and another single crochet on its own, okay? And then an increase. So everything's times 3 in this particular pattern. So in case you haven't noticed, we've done an increase, then 1 stitch times 3 in the penultimate round there with the brown. And then in this round we're doing an increase and then 2 single crochets 3 times. Okay, so that's going to be the pattern for a little while. So we'll start to speed up in a second once we know that, once we've got used to that pattern. So this is my second, no, it's my third, so that means I need to make this one an increase. And then I'm going to do 2 individual single crochets and then an increase and 2 individual single crochets, and then we'll come back. And that's what it should look like. So this time we need to increase again in the first stitch, and then we're going to do 3 individual single crochets, and you're going to do that 3 times. So that becomes 15 stitches. So 1, 2, 3. Okay, then increase, then 3 individual single crochets 3 times round. You have 15 stitches. And the next round, you've probably guessed it already, is an increase and then 4 individual single crochet, and you need to do that 3 times round until you have 18 stitches. And next up, it's going to be an increase followed by 5 individual single crochet, and you're going to do that 3 times until you have a stitch count of 21. And again, increase, and this time you're going to do 6 single crochet following the increase. So 1, 2 in the increase, then 6 single crochet 3 times until you have 24 stitches. And this is the last increase round now. We're going to do an increase in the next stitch, and then 7 individual single crochet 3 times. You're going to repeat that pattern, and then you will have 27 single crochet in that round, and we will be ready for the next phase of this pattern. So I'll see you back here once you've done that. Okay, so now we've finished all of our increasing. We now need to do 10 rounds of single crochet. So when it comes to a large quantity, a large number of rounds like that, what I like to do is use a stitch marker. And there are a couple of ways you can do that. If you don't have this kit yet, you can do it like so. So all I would do is put it in the first stitch. So I need to get past the first stitch first. So I do 2 single crochet, and then I pull up a loop here, and then I'd go back into that first one that I just made and pull through one of these tails in the middle here. So I'm not having to cut off more yarn or anything, or it's very easy, it's just there. And then I remember now that I just need to count 10 rows from that point. That's my my starting and my starting point. So I need to do 10 rounds from there. Alternatively, if you have all the gear, as I now do, you take this and you wrap it round like that, and then it's got a little locking mechanism, so just lock it in. So today, seeing as I am well equipped thanks to the company Be Crafty, I'm going to use my special stitch marker. Alright, so we now need to do 10 rounds of just 27 single crochet as we have. So it's nice and leisurely, you can walk around while you're doing this, you can watch TV while you're doing this, you can listen to music. You don't have to concentrate as much because you're not having to remember a pattern. You're just simply putting your crochet hook through. Well, it is leisurely when it doesn't get stuck. And pulling through. And this is when crochet is at its best, when it's just nice and relaxing. No, obviously sometimes it's nice to have the challenge, but at other times you do just want to be able to go through this satisfying motion. So yeah, 10 rounds, and I will see you back here to make the banana's little face. Okay, so once you've done your 10 rounds, it will look like that, and you can count up from the stitch marker to save you from counting the whole way round. So that's what it'll look like. Next up, we need to make the face on this little banana before we get too far to reach. So we're just going to cut off a length of this. I'm going to use the fancy scissors again. Pow! We're just going to cut off a length of this, not so fancy, black cotton here. And that's going to make the eyes and the mouth. And then we need to make the cheeks using pink cotton. And it's very, very simple. It's just a magic ring. So again, if you need to watch the beginner video, please do. Otherwise, I'll do it slowly now. Pull that piece of yarn up and over. Pull this piece up, put your hook through, pull taut, yarn over and pull through the gap. And then instead of doing 6 as we normally do, we're just going to do 5 single crochet inside that ring. So 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5, and then you just straighten them up like that so that all the stitches are facing to the right, and pull on this little tail here. And then simply slip stitch into the first single crochet you did, which is going to be tricky to find. Not find, but to pull up. So if you need to use your nails or even the end of the crochet hook, then that is absolutely fine. Struggling a tiny bit here. Sometimes you can use a smaller crochet hook as well to get in. I'm nearly there now, so I won't, but then just do a slip stitch to finish that off, and again pull through a bit of a tail because you're going to use that tail to sew it onto the banana. So make 2 of those and then we're ready to make the face. Okay, so the banana is still attached to the working yellow yarn, so you just need to keep that out of the way for the time being and try not to sew it in when you're sewing these bits on. Now, because you want the banana to have a bit of a curve and the face to be on the side of that, you either want to have the working yarn on this side if you want the face to be here, and then the curve will go kind of like that, or this side and the curve will go like that. So it's up to you which side you do it on. I don't know why, I'm just going to choose randomly this side, I think. And then you need to get your yarn needle. Now, I've got these fancy ones that came in my pack, which are plastic, but I think I'm going to use stick with the metal one for this, just because it's what I'm personally used to. And I think those plastic ones are quite good for when you're sewing in ends, especially if you've made a garment, or, you know, because the eyes are really thick on the bigger ones, so that's really good if you've made like a scarf using chunky yarn or something, or a cardigan. So I will save those for then. Okay, so I've just threaded the black onto my yarn needle, and all I'm going to do is go in. I can give you exact stitches, but really it's up to you how you want it to look. I'm going to go in about halfway down this yellow section that we've done, so about there I'm going to come out. And I'm going to leave a little bit of the black tail there, just because I don't want it to pull all the way through. Get my cheeks out of the way. It's a funny sentence. And then I'm going to go back in and just leaving a stitch's width worth of space, and just go through like that, and then you'll see you've got that kind of an effect. Now you can just make the eyes like that, just really simple, one black line, but I like to kind of make them rounder, and the way that I do that is just by building them up and then using your thumb to just encourage the yarn to go flat rather than to go on top of the other stitches. You want it to go to the side to create a rounder look rather than a long look, if you know what I mean. So I'm going to keep doing that for as long as it takes, really, to get the, do you see how I'm like bringing that round to the side rather than over the top? I'm going to keep doing it until I get the eye shape that I want, and then I will do it on the other side. I'll leave you to do that. So I'm probably going to do one more on this side, maybe 2 more on this side actually. See how it looks. Yeah, we're getting there. Maybe, yeah, one more on that side or that side. Maybe that side actually. And then when you're ready to go on to the next eye, rather than pulling it out and starting again, I would just simply leave roughly 4 or 5 stitches. It's better to do an odd number because then you've got a centre to put the smile. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I'm just going to come out there. And I'm going to do the same thing for the other eye. So I'll meet you back here once I've done that. Okay, so as I'm doing the last stitch of the eye there, I'm going to come out in the middle, so there, in order to make the smile. Just encourage that. And because it's only a little banana, I'm going to make the smile quite small, and I'm just going to leave a stitch between. Oh, it's got wrapped around. That's really small actually, but let's see how it looks. Nah, I changed my mind actually. See, that's the good thing about it, you can just pull it out and start again if you need to. It's a faff, but it's fine. So I'm actually going to go nearer the eye. And see how that looks. And if I need to, yeah, that's much better. Very cute. And then just go back through. So I've created a V there with the yarn. And then just flatten it down to make it more smiley. So then on the inside, just to secure that a bit, I'm just going to put my needle through a couple of times and just sew that in, because the smile is not as sewn in as the eyes were, so just to protect it so it can't just be pulled out. Okay, so with the cheeks, you're just going to sew them on under and to the side of the eyes, and I like to secure them with the tail from the magic ring at the back, just to sort of see the positioning. So I'm going to go around there. Yeah, that looks good to me. And I'm going to use the tail on this one and just ensure I'm going the right, so it's symmetrical. Doesn't matter, you know, exactly if it's not symmetrical, because I think that's the that's what makes these little Amigurumi's little crochet toys, you know, unique, is that they're all different like that. So I think that's what people appreciate, is that they've got their own unique one. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is just sew those cheeks down just by going inside and then up and out, and I'll show you how that looks in the end, and then we can carry on with the main body of the banana. Okay, and there is the face ready. So cute, isn't it? Okay, so what we need to do now is just tuck all those loose ends in, and we'll stuff it later. We don't need to stuff it now. Join your hook back onto the yellow yarn, and this is where we create the kind of bend for in the middle of the banana. So we're going to start with a 12 single crochet, 2, 3, 4, 11 and 12, and then you're going to do an increase, so 2 single crochet in the same stitch, 1, 2, and then you're going to do another 12 single crochet, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12, and then you're going to do a decrease stitch, And now because we've increased and decreased, we've actually got the same stitch count at the end of that round, so we've still got 27 stitches. So the next round you're going to want to remove your stitch marker and attach it again on this round, because we're going to do another 10 rounds after this round. So go ahead and put your stitch marker in again, or count, whatever your method is, and I'll meet you back here once we have got 10 more rounds, and then I'll show you how to put the rattle in, stuff it and finish it off. Right, there we have the next 10 rounds all done. So I'm just going to remove that stitch marker just so I can get rid of the gap that it leaves. So before we start stuffing and things, I'm just going to make this opening a little bit smaller, so we need to do some decreasing. So at the moment we have 27 stitches. We're going to do some decreasing to get us down to 24, and then from 24 we're going to go to 18, then to 12, then to 9, then to 6. Okay, let's do that one round at a time. So the first thing you're going to do is a decrease stitch, which means your hook goes into the first. Normal, as if you're going to do a single crochet, apart from you go into the next stitch and pull through, and you have 3 loops in your hook, and then you yarn over and pull through all 3. So that decreases 2 down to 1. And then we're going to do, hold on a minute, I need to think about this, 7 single crochet. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7, and then another decrease, and then another 7, and then another decrease, and then another 7. Okay, so that's 3 times repeating that refrain, and then we'll come back here when we have 24 single crochet. So that has now been decreased down to 24. Now what we're going to do is we're going to get down to 18, so we need to do a slightly quicker decrease, which means we're going to start with a decreased stitch again on top of the previous round's decrease, and this time we're just going to do 2 single crochet, and we're going to work in 6s instead of 3s. Okay, so 1 decrease, 2 single crochet, 1 decrease, 2 single crochet, 6 times until you have a stitch count of 18. So once we've decreased down to 18, this is a really good time to put the rattle in and to stuff. So I'm just going to pull up a loop and take the hook out for a minute. And the rattle is just made up of some beads and a little makeup pot that I've washed up. So you can use anything that you've got lying around your house. I suppose you could use rice as well. It'll just make the sound slightly different, but it's still a rattle. You ideally don't want to feel the plastic rattle on the outside of the banana. I mean, sometimes it's inevitable, and actually it's still okay for babies because they like to chew on things like that anyway, don't they? Especially if they've got, if they're teething. But what I like to do is wrap the rattle up in the stuffing. So I'll show you what I mean. If we just put a large amount of stuffing in, push it right down. Sometimes it's good to use scissors to push in the stuffing, actually, weirdly. It just works better than other things. So push that right in there, get it down. I think amigurumi looks more professional when it's stuffed more tightly. I mean, it depends on the look you're going for. Sometimes that homemade look can look quite effective, so it's really up to you. So stuff that nicely in there, so the top's nice and firm. And then I'm going to get the rattle, so it's in sort of the middle, and I'm just going to wrap a little bit of stuffing around it, and then put that in. Oh, my hole's not big enough, so you've got to make sure your rattle will fit through. Otherwise you might want to have put the rattle in the previous round before we decreased to 18 if you needed to. and it's actually quite nice because it's about the same width as the banana. So now I'm just going to stuff a bit more behind that, and then once we have, you don't need to stuff it completely because we're going to go down to 12 stitches this time, so we can still stuff again in a minute. It was just to make sure we got the rattle in and it's not going to move around. And you can start seeing the bend in the banana coming along nicely as well, just encourage it a bit. Right, now we're going to go down to 12 single crochet, so I'm going to keep my stuffing nearby and keep pushing it down as you're working around. So simply start with a decrease stitch and then do 1 single crochet, then decrease, then 1 single crochet 6 times until you come back to the beginning again. So on the 12th stitch, we're going to join the brown yarn just as we joined the yellow earlier on in the pattern. So pull through like that, so you've got the 2 loops on your hook, and then keep the yellow yarn behind your 2 fingers there, and join the brown yarn behind those 2 fingers, and join it onto your working yarn hand, and then just complete that single crochet with the brown yarn. Still keep it very tight because it's still not as secure as we want it to be. Start off in the next stitch with a decrease to secure it in the brown, look, and then a single crochet in the next stitch. Just keep it nice and tight, and then I would just, once it's secured, pull up that loop there, and then we can deal with all the loose tails. So we're ready to cut off the yellow relatively low down, about there I'd say, and then wind up the yellow, get that out of the way, we're not going to need that again. And you can tuck in those tails along with a bit more stuffing, because this is our kind of last point now to stuff before it's going to become incredibly difficult, if not completely closed up. So stuff that as much as you want to, and then I'll come back and show you how to finish up with the brown. Okay, so the banana is nice and stuffed, and now to finish off. So if you remember, to secure this brown yarn, we already started on the next round. So we've done a decrease and a single crochet, and we're just going to do that twice more. So another decrease and another single crochet and another decrease and another single crochet, and sorry I said twice more, but it's actually 3 times more, another decrease, so once more, and another, oh, where have I gone? And another single crochet. Okay, and then we'll just do decrease, and then another single crochet and another single crochet. It's nice because you can hear it rattling as we're going, and another decrease. Ooh. It's more fiddly when the hole's smaller. And another single crochet, another, sorry, not a single crochet, a slip stitch into the next stitch, pull it through, cut off the end, leaving a bit of a tail because we're going to sew those ends in a second, so about there, Get your yarn needle, just pull it through, look, and thread that onto your yarn needle, and then just gather up the stitches. So you're going to go under that one and back through that one. Oh, sorry, a bit close to the camera. And under and through and the next one, and the final one, just go through, and then all you're going to do is pull on that and it should close it up nicely with a bit of a nubbin on the end like the bottom of a banana, and then just sew through to close it up and also to get rid of your yarn tail, because the more you sew it in, the more secure it'll be. So if you're giving this to a baby to play with and they're chewing it, you don't want it to come undone. So yeah, just make sure you've sewn it in as much as possible all throughout the brown, and then when you think you've done enough, go through the whole thing, come out somewhere in the yellow, in the main body, and then pull it tight and snip. Okay, we're done. We have a banana crochet rattle all done. You can just bend the body a little bit so it's more curved, and that's that. Cool, huh? So thanks so much for watching this tutorial. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, check out my others for other amigurumi pieces, and do the usual like and comment and tell your friends about me, and find me on Instagram where I have a page called Lana and Libby, and also I have an Etsy shop as well if you'd like to buy the finished product, which is also lanaandlibby.etsy.com. Thank you so much for watching. See you soon. Bye.